Hey guys, looks like I'm freezing a little bit. I'm actually outside enjoying the weather. You guys see everybody out here in this sunny, beautiful day. I'm here in this, looks like a park, kind of like a park. It's a nice area where everyone's sitting and eating. You can see nice little water. It's so beautiful. And we're just enjoying the day. I'm going to talk to you briefly because I was just on Periscope because Periscope let me on. Facebook Live was not letting me in for some reason. But I'm here. Hello, Maurice. Hey, Travis. Awesome. I miss you, Travis. You don't call nobody no more. I hope all is well with you and with your ministry. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me. Come on in to Facebook Live today. I'm excited to be talking about this topic about why change efforts fail, because I've seen it so many times. I've been a repeat offender of this thing, and so I feel like I have something to offer you. Hey, Aaron, Jet Setter is in the house. We're here. I'm excited to share with you today about this topic because I feel that it's going to be something else that you can add to your leadership toolkit, something that you can add to your arsenal that you can use in the future. Even if you don't need it right now, it's always something that you can revisit and use in the future. So make sure you take notes because this is going to be a good conversation. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Coach Ramsay. I'm a leadership coach. I'm here today to talk to you about why change efforts fail in an organization or in a church or in a business. I'm going to be talking to you about that topic, but before I do that, I want to tell you that, guys, I am on fire. I am lit about this upcoming Power Up Empowerment Conference. The theme this year is Accelerate, Go Further, Faster. When I tell you it's going to be a life-shifting event. God is calling us into a supernatural tent of meetings where He is going to accelerate everything about us. Our life, our business, our ministry, everything connected to us is going to be aligned, it's going to be set on schedule, and it's going to be thrust forward into the best that God has to offer. So I'm excited about this Power Up conference that it's close. I hope you registered. I really hope you registered. Registration is only $50. It's on Saturday, July 23rd. It's a full day of power, a full day of acceleration. We have 2 special workshops, one for youth leaders. So if you are a youth leader, if you know youth leaders, make sure they are in there. We're going to be talking about accelerating in youth ministry. We also have a workshop for entrepreneurs. Those of you who have a desire to start a business or are business owners, accelerate in business. And then outside of just those 2 special workshops, the day is filled with accelerating moments, accelerating tips, accelerating power that is going to be infused into your life. Every speaker that is going to mount that podium is coming with a word that is going to change your life forever. My prayer and what I believe God is going to do at this conference, this is going to be a reference move of God. You heard me right, a reference move of God. You're going to be able to come back to the moment that you had at this conference and say, it was here that the breakthrough happened. It was here that the floodgates opened. It was here that heaven opened over my life and changed everything about me. So I want you to know that it's going to be a high time. Don't miss it. Go to powerupnetwork.org and register today. Register today. Secure your seat. Secure your seat. I mean that. Secure your seat. Make sure that your face is in the place. It's going to be good. So like I was saying, I'm out here in the beautiful outdoors in the park. Say hi to everybody. It's beautiful. We're having a great time out here. But there's something I want to just drop by and just drop in your toolkit, your leadership toolkit. Like I always say, I don't consider myself to be an expert, but there's some things that I learned along the way. And what I try to do as a leadership coach is share those things with people so that they can avoid avoidable mistakes. They can avoid some of the pitfalls and the obstacles and the challenges that I went through in my leadership journey. You can have that. And my leadership journey. So make sure that you all take notes because we're going to be diving into this topic about why change efforts fail. So here it is. You know, a lot of times when we talk about change, there's always this association with frustration. Most times people start to think about change when they see stuff that they don't like. People want to change their weight when they can't fit into clothes. People want to change their spouse when they're not getting along. You know what I mean? There's so many different reasons why people say, okay, I want to change. I need to see change in my life. And so sometimes it's come with this frustration. There's a lot of times where you think about change is because you keep doing the same thing the same way but expecting a different result and you're just not seeing it. And so that means that there's time for a change, because if you do the same thing the same way, you're not going to see the results that you want, because what you're doing is not bringing you what you need. And then also because change is constant. Change is always happening. Change is happening around us. Change is happening in us. Change is both physical and spiritual. Change is constantly happening, but it's not always easily embraced. And so especially for a lot of people, especially as we age, change it's not as fun anymore, because you get settled in your ways. You don't want to really go through nothing. But change is necessary if you want to see the results that you need to see in your organization. So today we're going to be talking about the typical reasons why change efforts in an organization fail. So I want to talk about three different things. I want to talk about when change is needed. Number two, I want to talk about navigating change. And then number three, I want to talk about the typical predictable reasons why change efforts fail. So change is necessary when there is a discrepancy. So when do we need to change, right? Change is necessary when there is a discrepancy between the actual set of events and your desired set of events. In other words, change is necessary when there is a gap between what you intended or hoped for versus what you actually see happening or what has happened. So in other words, if there was an event, if you had an event, right? You had an event and you said, okay, we're going to start out with this event and we're going to raise $600. We're going to sell $600 worth of tickets. And then the event comes and here you are. You have your event and then you only have $300. So there is a gap between what you intended and hoped for, like this is what our goal is, and then what you actually saw. So that's the platform, or that's the indicator that change is needed. And so that's a way for you to gauge whether or not you need change. I know sometimes in organizations you get frustrated, you see things you don't like, you see things that you feel that need to be changed. But before you start to make change, my job is to encourage you today to do an assessment, to do an analysis on whether or not there is a gap between what you intended and hoped for versus what you are actually seeing or have seen. And in order to be able to identify if there is a gap, you have to first have had identified the win, right? You define the win, so you know what it is you intended for. Was there clarification with what you intended? Was there clarification around what you wanted to see happen? So again, when you define a win also, for those of you who wasn't on the scope last week, a win, or on Facebook Live last week, I should say, a win is defined as the moment or the factors that say to you, wow, we got it right. So when you have wins in your organization, it's that moment, it's that thing, that measurement that's able to tell you, wow, we got it right. When you have defined that, then you can gauge whether or not you have a gap between what you intended and what you actually seen. So here are some questions that I want you to consider. So guys, get your pen and paper out. Get ready for these questions. Get ready for them, because I'm going to go through them quick. So you're probably going to have to go back and watch this again to get all of the questions down. So here are the questions that I want you to ask yourself when you believe change is needed in your organization. Number one, is your organization on track to achieve its vision? Okay? Is your organization on track? On track. That means you should have some deadlines. You should have milestones. You should have dates by which you want to accomplish things. Is your organization on track to achieve its vision? Number two, are your organization initiatives delivering the desired outcomes? Are they delivering the desired results that you're looking for? Number three, is it delivering these outcomes or these results on time and on budget? This is huge, because you can reach a goal, but you reached it 6 months later. You can reach a goal, but you reached it spending over $2,000 more than you intended. Again, so you want to ask yourself the question, is my organization delivering the desired results or the desired outcomes with the time span that we originally set and at the budget we originally set? Next one you can ask is your organization maintaining high levels of productivity and morale? This is critical. This is critical because people, the Bible says this, without vision, people perish. But in the same breath, you have to understand that without people, vision perish. So understanding, is your organization maintaining high levels of productivity and morale is going to be critical for your growth. It's going to be critical for your productivity. It's going to be critical for your progress. So you can easily look at whether or not people are talking about their tasks. Are they checking in? Do they attend meetings? Are they on conference calls? All of these things are going to point to whether or not you are maintaining high levels of productivity and morale. Hey Kenya, hey Nadine, Cheryl, Pierre, Bianca, thank you guys for joining me today. Again, we're talking about why change efforts fail in an organization. Why? Because this is important. This is critical. Because God doesn't want us to fail. God wants us to be able to move forward and see success in our change efforts. So again, asking yourself, is your organization maintaining high levels of productivity and morale? Number 5, are your current customers or your audience excited about your events? Are they excited about your progress or product? Are they excited about your organization? How do you know if they're excited? Are they engaging you on social media? Are they engaging you in your website? Are you getting traction? Are you having momentum with them? Have you created a buzz? Are you creating your own rumors? Are they catching on? All those different things are going to help you understand whether or not your audience is excited about what you have. And the last one that I wanted you to consider is, are your people energized, committed, and passionate? This is critical. Are your people energized, committed, and passionate? This is critical because when you start to think about culture, and when you understand culture, it really is created most times by default. That means that culture can ignite in people passion, and it can also erode at people's passion. So you gotta look at your organization and ask yourself, are your people, your team, your staff, your workers, those who work with you and for you, are they engaged? Are they energized? Are they passionate? Are they committed? You have to look at those things. Welcome, Jenny. Welcome, Omar. Thank you so much for joining me today. So we're talking about why change efforts fail. One of the reasons why change efforts fail is because we don't navigate the change. And so I want to talk to you about navigating the change. Leaders have to lead change. Leaders have to manage change. Leaders have to strategize how to lead change in a way that leverages everyone's creativity and ultimate commitment to working in that organization against the backlash or the obstacles that will come in the face of change. Okay, so it's a navigation that's required in order to see change happen. So guys, I hope you're ready because I'm about to just go through this right here. Hey Natasha, hey Jakima, thank you guys for joining me. Again, my name is Chanel Ramsay and I'm a leadership coach. And again, I don't call myself an expert, don't consider myself an expert, but I've learned through some really big mistakes that cost us money, cost us people, that when you don't navigate change, you put people in positions where it makes it uncomfortable for them to continue to serve with you. And so here are some of the things that people say. Researchers have shown that most change efforts get derailed or they fail because of predictable reasons. Did y'all hear me? I said predictable reasons. Predictable reasons. That means that you can know these reasons before you even start out and prepare to overcome them. And so I want to talk to you about 5 of them that I know about and have experienced and have also been the construct of these bad decisions that have led to failure and change. And so if we can recognize them and account for them, then we can be proactive in our management of the change, okay? Because change has to be managed. So here they are. Number 1. Y'all ready for this? This is number 1. Number 1, and the one that I see the most happening in churches. This is number 1. People leading the change think that announcing the change is the same as implementing the change. Good people, I love you to pieces, but you can't just announce change and walk away from the table and then expect people to just do it. Change has to be navigated. There needs to be a plan behind your change. You say, okay, we're going to change the brand. We're going to change the face of the company. We're going to change how we do things around here. Have you ever heard these terms? People just get up and announce that things are going to be different around here. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean for me? How does this change affect my role and responsibility? When does this change start? How will we know this change happened? All of these different questions come up when someone announces, hey, we're about to start this big change, or we're going to do things differently around here. We're going to change youth service from Sunday to Friday nights. Okay, thank you for announcing it. But that's not going to cause people to buy into the idea of this change and really get on board. Change needs to be supported. So, strategic change, intentional change doesn't just happen. Okay, there are things that have to be done. There are things, yes, like Trump, he just announces change, no plan for it, no strategy behind it. He's just going to do a whole bunch of stuff, so he says, but here it is. When you want to be strategic and intentional about change in an organization or in a church, whether it's relocation, whether it's changing your brand, whether it's changing how you do things in your organization, whether it's about closing your organization and starting a new one, whatever it is, changing the structure, the protocol, change has to be navigated. In strategic change, intentional change has to have a plan behind it. So the first one that I've seen happen so many times when people want to have this big, awesome change, people leading the change announce it and they think that's the same as implementing, and it's not. Number two, people's concern with the changes are not surfaced or addressed. This is bad, because what people do when they hear about change, you just announce it. Where do they go? To the water cooler, start talking about it? Where they go? They start talking about it among each other. I don't know why we got to change this. If it ain't broke, it don't need to be fixed. You know how people talk. All these different things. They just like, oh, why we got to change? I was doing it like this. I like it this way. And especially, again, you know how it is. The older some people get, the more settled they get in their ways. I've been doing it like this for the past 20 years. I ain't trying to change. Why we got to move from North Philly to South Philly? This place was fine. All of those different things. They don't want to change. It's not always easy. So you have to address people's concerns. You can't just announce it and say, okay, it's this top-down leadership, this dictatorship-style leadership. We're going to do it. And then you just walk away. What did I say? We're making this change. That is not helpful if you want to see progress. If you want to see productivity and you want to keep the morale high, you have to address those changes. So you got to be strategic and in a way that you can listen in on the conversations that people are having around this change, and then address their concerns as they come up. Because when you address their concerns, they are going to feel more supported in their change, and they're going to be ready to be on board with this idea. Again, this is important for the buy-in effect. You want people to buy into this idea of change. Of course, God is telling you to do it, right? He gives you this idea, make these adjustments, make these changes. However, the people that it's affecting need to buy into this idea of change. They need to be on board with how you're going to do it differently. Okay, check in on change. Check in on change. That means after you've implemented it, after you stated it, you got people on board, check in with them. Make sure things are going well, because you'll find out if the change you decided is working or if it's not working. Sometimes the change you thought was going to work doesn't work. And you don't know that until you start living it out, till you start fleshing it out, till you now have proof of concept. Okay, so number 3. Those being asked to change are not involved in planning the change. I see this all the time with pastors. I've helped numerous churches, and I sit down with pastors and leaders, and I love you guys. But one of the things pastors are infamous for, pastors, leaders, organizational leaders, business leaders, you make these decisions in a vacuum. You alone counseled yourself. You came up with what you thought was the problem. You came up with what you thought was the solution. You didn't consult anyone. You didn't speak to your team about it. You just say, hey, I know what the problem is. It's this, and this is what we need to do to change it. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am saying if you want to move forward with more people than just yourself, then you need to include people in the planning process. Because if you start to make decisions by yourself, then you're going to find out that you're going to be implementing those decisions by yourself too. You need to include the people that it's going to affect in the planning of the process for this change. Number 4, the change is not piloted, so the organization does not learn what is needed to support the change. Like I said before, change has to be managed. And I said earlier, for those of you who are just coming in, hey Sharice, welcome. Those of you who are just coming in, change has to be supported. That means that you have to be able to know what's working, what's not working, and what do I need to do to get it to work. So change has to be supported. And the 5th reason, a predictable reason, typical reason why change efforts fail in the organization is people are not held accountable for implementation. Accountability. Yes, I said it. I know for this generation of leaders, it's a curse word, accountability. But we have to be accountable for implementing the change. Once you get your stakeholders, your team leaders to buy in to the idea of what you are doing, what changes need to take place, they are part of the planning process. Now, those same stakeholders, those same partners, those same people need to now be held accountable for implementing the change. Because when they are held accountable for it, what you'll see is a greater level. When they buy into it, when they are part of the planning process, you'll see a greater level of ownership. And when people own their part, their role, their responsibility, their piece of the puzzle, because it is a big picture, when they begin to own it, then you'll begin to see that they don't have a problem with accountability, because they're excited to bring you back the results, to say, hey, this worked, this didn't work, and this is what I'm doing for that which didn't work. And so those are the typical reasons. I'll take your questions about change efforts as I walk back to my office. I hope I don't lose you guys. But if you have any questions, what has been your experience about change? What has been your experience in implementing change? How has it been productive? What are some of the bloops and blunders? You know, we all make mistakes. And again, one of the things that I say in one of my quotes is that leadership is a journey that must be done together. It was never meant for us to walk this leadership journey alone. And so we can learn from each other, our mistakes and our success, right? Because we need to learn from our success. Those of you who missed the last week Facebook Live, I talked about learning from success. So the question on here is how to balance when you have to make an executive decision. Oh, I love that. I love executive decision talk because one of the ways that you can balance that out is creating a culture where your decision is respected, but their feedback is just as respected. So if I can make an executive decision and know that the people on my team, if they see a problem or if they see a potential for a problem with a decision that I've just made, the culture is so set that they can feel free enough to share those concerns, meanwhile not being insubordinate to those decisions. It's really about a culture. So you can make an executive decision, but again, when you're making decisions in a vacuum, or you're making a decision in a vacuum that impacts the work of others that are with you and around you, they need to be included in that change. And ultimately, because you are responsible for the organization, you have the responsibility of making the final say on that change, but they should be included in that process. So again, oh, bless you, Sherrod. Bless you. So again, when you're empowering leaders, again, it's about creating a culture of feedback. It's about creating a culture of conversation so that your executive decision is respected, but in the same token, their opinions, their insight is respected and valued as well. So many times in organizations, especially in top-down organizations, if you grew up under leaders that came out of the birth of the 70 move of preachers, 1970s, and they were very strong-handed. They were very close-handed leadership style. They did most of the work. They did dictating. They told you all those different things, and the culture wasn't set for feedback. Because remember, even though you are the leader of the organization, you still have blind spots that you can't cover. So you need to have people around you that can catch those blind spots. So although I need to make the executive decision, I need your feedback to make sure that I don't miss the blind spot. Okay? So that's how you balance that out. The executive decision, creating a culture where there's feedback so that people can feel comfortable giving feedback, but also respecting your decision and being able to follow it without a problem. Yeah. So again, it's about culture, it's about systems, it's about creating that environment among your organization where people have that freedom and that liberty, but they also understand order and protocol. And that's a big balance that's missing in the body of Christ. It's like we swing from one way or to the other. It's like we're all about order and protocol, there's no freedom. All about freedom, there's no order and protocol. You got to have both. You have to have both. And it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act. There are going to be times where you have it down pat and it's working, and then there's going to be other times where you are just like, oh yes. There are going to be other times where you got to fix things. You got to work it out. You got to go back, reflect, evaluate, and then move forward. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions for me? Again, change is necessary if we want to see growth. Change is constant, but not always easy. But if we want to walk into what God is calling us to, and especially if y'all going to be at this acceleration conference, this Power Up conference on Saturday, July 23rd, I want to see you there. We're going to be talking about how to navigate acceleration, right? Because if God's is about to accelerate us and our life is about to pick up pace, we got to be ready for it. And a part of that is preparing for the change, preparing for the shift. So I see you guys there again. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Chanel Ramsay. I'm a leadership coach. You can reach me at powerupnetwork.org to find out more information or register for the conference. Also, you can email me at coachme@coachramsay.com. I look forward to speaking with you guys, and that's where we're going to be next week. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.